All right, is it crazy that this movie really made me want to get a pool? Night Swim is a new horror movie from Blumhouse Productions and is directed by Bryce McGuire and stars Wyatt Russell and Kerry Condon. And I thought, for the most part, this was a very good movie. I took a lot of enjoyment out of it. So let's dive into what makes this movie worth watching or not worth watching. Right off the bat, one thing I thought was really good about this movie was just the general buildup of tension. I felt like it didn't rush to the big reveals and the scary scenes. Obviously, the movie starts with its scary scene just to get you pulled in. But after that, I felt like it kind of progressed, a little bit more naturally. The events were like smaller and smaller, and then they got bigger and bigger. And so I did really appreciate the way the tension was built up. They did a really good job with just not making this feel too much like a horror movie, for at least for the 2/3 of the movie. Yes, it's a horror movie and there is, creepy things happening, but at the same time, it had, some maturity to the story. I thought, Wyatt Russell and Kerry Condon did really well, especially Kerry Condon. I thought she was excellent in this movie. It really just makes me more excited to pay more attention to her. And I actually realized that one of the reasons I recognized her was because of that movie, The Banshees of Inisherin or whatever. I don't know how to say that, but that was a really good movie and she was really good in it. So now I'm like, oh, that makes sense. She's a great actress. I've seen her before. And I thought she was definitely great in this movie. Wyatt Russell is also really good in this movie. And I gotta say, I'm starting to like this guy. I mean, he's doing really well in that Monarch show. He's probably one of the only good elements to that show. But that's a different thing. But yeah, I thought he did great in this movie. I thought he was definitely delivering. I could believe his character, and I wasn't getting like a lot of cheap, low budget acting, because sometimes horror movies, there's a lot of hit and miss with the acting. Sometimes the acting can be quite terrible, but this movie did not have any bad acting. I think Blumhouse Productions in general makes very good horror movies.
They said it hadn't been used in 15 years. Maybe they weren't cool people.
This movie does not have an overuse of jump scares, which I did appreciate. There's definitely, a lot of jumping to be had, but I didn't think it was over the top. It didn't come off as some other movies I've seen where it just seems like they're just throwing loud noises at you to try to jolt you and scare you. I didn't think there was too much of that. There's definitely some jumps. There's definitely plenty of jumps to be had, but I just didn't think that we were overusing it. I thought the scenes felt like they lent themselves correctly. One thing from the commercial you can tell in this movie is that there's going to be some stupidity on behalf of some of the characters. I don't know if everyone saw this commercial, but there's the scene in the pool where the girl is playing Marco Polo with her boyfriend or would-be boyfriend or whatever he is. And, she closes her eyes and she's doing Marco Polo and he leaves the pool. And then she continues closing her eyes and calling out Marco and nobody's answering. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, I think it's time. Maybe you should just open your eyes because your boyfriend's gone and you're talking to nothing. You're talking to a ghost. So they definitely had, some stupid things like that in the movie. Just the characters just doing things that I think that, most people wouldn't do. It's hard to say for sure. I definitely have not encountered very many haunted pools in my life, but I think that I would not be behaving the way some of these characters in this movie behave. And in general, I think we can all agree that there's just people in horror movies doing very puzzling things, and we're just like, okay, don't open that door. Don't drop your keys. Why do you suck at this? But, like I said, I've never been in this situation. Maybe I would drop the keys. Maybe I would fumble the lock. Maybe I would get stabbed to death. Who knows? It's kind of a constant trend with these scary movies that towards the end of the movie, there's this big climax, a big scene. And I guess sometimes those scenes can be, where you start to lose the audience a little bit because they're like, okay, we got to pull out all the cards. This needs to just be so damn scary. And, sometimes it gets over the top. It can get cheesy. This movie has a little bit of that. The over-the-topness was not as bad as I've seen in some movies, but you could definitely tell, okay, this is the finale. This is definitely meant to be like the closing of the movie, and, they're going ham. But I definitely didn't think that it distracted me. It didn't make me dislike the movie from that point on, I think the first 3/4 of this movie are very solid. It's, the last quarter that, maybe gets a little bit cheesy, a little bit corny, but that's just typical for this kind of movie, and I didn't didn't think it was like a distractor. I would definitely not knock this movie and say you shouldn't watch it just because of, you know, the typical over-the-top ending that horror movies tend to have. I mean, that's just how they are. So, should you watch this movie? Well, if you like scary movies, then I think you should. I think it's, you know, definitely entertaining. It has a lot going for it. It has some good acting, very good acting, actually. A lot of good buildup of tension. You know, it has some of the horror movie tropes that, you know, people get used to. Some of it could be working against the movie. I guess it would be really cool to see a movie that, you know, is comfortable just ending without having the big crazy finale. But I don't think that, you know, in this movie, it is done poorly enough that it ruins the experience. I think that this movie is definitely quite entertaining. I think that if you're a horror movie fan, you're going to like it. If you're not a horror movie fan, you probably will not like this movie. So this is definitely for horror movie fans. But I would definitely give this movie an 8 out of 10. I think it was worth watching. I would definitely watch it again. I would definitely show it to friends. So with that being said, if you thought this was a cool video, go ahead and like this video. And if you thought, you know, you want to see more things like this, if you like this cool hat, if you want to see just more movie reviews with this quirky and elegant personality, subscribe to this channel. I have a lot more content coming. Daddy is here to play. We're definitely making more videos. So I'll catch you later. Bye.